I remember speaking to the National Speakers Association and telling them, you're not in the speaking business, you're in the marketing business. And I could tell you if I was speaking to Donut Shop, I'd be telling them, you're not in the donut business, you're in the marketing business. And whatever business you think you're in, I promise you, you're in the marketing business. And today, that means digital marketing, which is what we're going to talk about. Hey, welcome back to another episode. We're live and in color. And as you see on your screen, I have a very special guest star this episode. This is my friend Victor Damasio from the land of Pele and Bebeto and Romario and Neymar.
That's true.
Victor is a digital marketing expert from Brazil. So, Victor, great to have you on.
Hey, Randy, for me, it's a pleasure and an honor being here on your show, on your podcast.
Yeah, for you guys watching, I was listening to a Russell Brunson pod, and he had Victor on because Victor uses his ClickFunnels service and, is a friend in his mastermind, I think. And so I just thought it was interesting. And he talked about he was kind of trying, Victor has built 600,000 followers in Brazil. And so he was on with Russell talking about this experiment he was doing where he's going to open a new account in the US, English speaking, which is not his native tongue,
Yeah.
and just build his following and from scratch and people could kind of follow along. And so I thought, well, I should follow the guy. Seems like a nice guy, interesting. And then I got a DM and it said, is this the Randy Gage?
Randy Gage, yeah. Like I couldn't believe it.
And I said, well, my mother thinks so. Why do you ask? And I don't know, take it from there.
Well, in the beginning, I used to be a lawyer, like in a previous life, right? And I didn't like, and now I'm a good person, right? I'm just kidding, just playing with the lawyers and stuff. But here's the deal. I didn't really love my life and I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And then I found an opportunity. A friend of mine, he was earning a lot of money and he was so young and he had a nice car. And then he invited me to a presentation and it was his MLM opportunity. And then I joined it and I failed big time. So for me, it was very hard, really hard, but I tried hard to get my education. So one of the best things I got out of this industry was knowledge. Everything about self-development, sales, and even marketing. I'm so grateful for MLM industry because of that. I think it's very important school for me, and it helped me out so much. So when I was
You know
studying,
where you know where I would parallel with you there? I tell people network marketing saved my life. And not because I made millions of dollars with it, although I did, right? It's been very lucrative for me. But it saved my life for the exact reason you just said. It introduced me to self-development. I'd never heard of it. And I was on such a negative, low self-esteem, destructive path, such dysfunctional, toxic relationships, health, failures. If I didn't find MLM, which introduced me to self-development, I feel I would have OD'd or put a sports car into a brick wall or something, and I never would have made it.
so I'm glad you didn't, right? And you're here, right? I'm so
Me
happy you're
too.
here.
Me too.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think it saved people's lives. And knowing about ourselves, I mean, there's no instruction manual, right? There's no such a thing. I mean, we have the Bible, but we need to look inside ourselves and stuff. And this is something that network marketing industry it gave me the possibility of learning with other people. And you were one of those people. There was a guy in Brazil, his name was Ricardo, and then he was involved with this company called Agile. How do you
Agile,
pronounce
yeah.
it?
Agile Enterprises.
Yes, and I remember you were like number one or so big in there. Were you number one in there?
Yeah, I was the top income earner in the world for
Yeah,
about 10 years until the
yeah,
company was sold.
yeah. And I really love the way you position yourself because you were the top producer. I wasn't quite sure if you were or not top one, but you behaved like you were number one. And this is something that really caught my attention because I don't know what your opinion about it, but one thing is the company you work for or with or your partner up with, and one thing is your personal brand. And I remember back then looking you and the way you show up, there was your thing you're doing with this company, and I don't know if you're still involved with them or not. And there was Randy Gage brand in a way. Am I wrong?
You're 100% right because I have believed for a long, long time that personal branding is more important than even corporate branding. If you look today, uh, how did I meet you through Russell Brunson? ClickFunnels is not the brand. Russell is the brand.
Yes.
Tesla, SpaceX is not the brand. Elon is the brand.
Elon.
Richard Branson is the brand. Mark
Yeah.
Cuban is the brand. Oprah Winfrey is the brand.
Yeah.
Because we can relate to people. We can't relate to corporate logos and corporate cultures and brand guidelines for a company that these are the corporate colors and it should only be done in Magenta 101 color and the logo should never be this way. Nobody gives a fuck about anything like that. They want to know who is this
Yeah.
person behind the company. And I have an entrepreneurial accelerator program, and I'm working with everybody in that all the time. Like, you got to build your personal brand. You got to be the face of the company because
Yeah.
people identify with other people. They don't identify with firms or companies or, impress us.
Of course. And now we even have a fancy name for that. People call it founder-led growth. Yeah, I
Right.
think it's
Right.
funny, right? I mean, isn't all growth led by the founder anyway? I know there's product, I know I know there's a lot of stuff, but there's always an owner with a vision and a mission, and then owners they create things, right? And drive growth. So it's just funny that we have a name for something that is so obvious. But I know that some companies they are not like this. But I love the idea of having a personal brand. And it doesn't matter if you're a medical doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, as I used to, having a personal brand is such an asset. And it pays so well, right? So when you're building for someone else's company, uh, this is your team, but it's kind of not. When you connect with people, companies come and go, right? But relationships they thrive, they survive throughout time and companies. Does it make sense? So I saw you doing this in a very clever way, and I really enjoyed it. It was so cool. And I remember back then the opportunity of the company. I don't want to go about it, but the products were very expensive to Brazil reality. So in Brazil, you used to have $1 buying one Brazilian real, our currency, and then $1 would be like two Brazilian real, and then $1 became four, and then six. Oh my God! And now we are at one buying five Brazilian reais. And I remember back then that the price points of the products themselves it was a bit prohibitive for us, and it didn't quite work well in Brazil. The company as I could see. Maybe that's what I experienced because back then I was really on a budget. So maybe it was an excuse of mine or objection of just me, but I don't think that AGL thrived in Brazil back then. There wasn't a fit, not only because of the product, but the way it was priced. That doesn't make sense. But
Well, here's what I think, and let me know if you would agree with this. I think what you just said is exactly right. And Agile did struggle when they opened the Brazil market. Pricing was an issue because you have to create a peg rate. The dollar versus the local currency
exactly.
fluctuates every second of every day.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to make long-term things. And that's just part of working internationally.
Yes.
I think if Agile were still around today, knowing what I know now about how to market high-end products and knowing what you know now about how to market high-end products, I bet it would be a resounding success. Because if you look at what you're doing with your funnels, your coaching program, if you're looking what I'm doing with my own business, with all the clients I'm working with, I'm telling them, do not chase after price. You don't want to be the lowest price competitor. You don't
Yeah.
want to compete that way. If somebody is one penny less, then they can steal your customer. You want to
Yes.
position yourself as the premium product in the market, the high ticket, high value offering, right? So that's what I think. If you and I opened it up today, we would make a fortune. What do you think?
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah. And it's funny because people say that wisdom pays, but comes with time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, but we cannot go back in time, right? But we can create something out of nowhere now. And I know some people are listening to us. What I remember is that I said, well, this company I can't join, these products I can't buy. They don't make sense right now. But this guy, Ranger Gage, well, everything he says makes sense. I like what he's sharing. And this is the most important thing. I really do believe that this thing about knowing, liking, and trusting someone can be accelerated big time using the internet. So even you and me, when we engaged because of Russell Brunson's podcast, I don't know if you can leave a link in here so people that can check it out, but
Yes, we'll put one in.
it was really nice. And you started following me on Instagram. And every time someone follows me on Instagram, and my Instagram handler is at Victor Damasio, Victor Damasio. And if you guys are listening to us, and if you start following me, I'm gonna check you personally. And this is something so simple. And people sometimes they overlook it. And someone could say that I'm doing this because my profile in English is so small. As we are recording this, I don't even have 1,000 followers. I guess I have actually less than 500. I would be more accurate and say that right now, at the moment we are shooting this, I have 236 followers, not 1,000 followers, 236, less than 300 followers. And in Brazil, I have 600,000, actually 660,000. And the way I behave is the same. So if you have like a store and you sell like shirts like this, if someone gets to your store, wouldn't you or someone from your team say, hey, welcome, do you need some help? Are you looking for something specific? And then people say, well, I want this, or oh, I'm just browsing around, I'm just taking a look, right? I'm just looking, not saying, hey, good evening, hey, good afternoon, hey, welcome, do you need some help? Not saying that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, right?
Yeah.
You're just you're just not being polite. And that wouldn't be something acceptable in a store, in a physical store. But is it Instagram like our store somehow? So the way I see my Instagram profile, it's pretty much like my store. So whenever people start following me, I look at their profile, and there are some people that they don't even look like a real person. And then I don't touch it,
Right.
right?
Because they're
But
probably not. They're
because
a bot.
probably they're not a real person, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Sometimes people follow me as you did and say, hey, I like that person. So let's connect. So I don't know what you guys that are listening to this are involved with, but I don't know. If you look at them, so I'll talk on my own case, right? I teach people how to create, sell, deliver, and scale high ticket offers. I did more than $10 million doing that, teaching people how to be a mentor. how to coach people, how to mentor people, how to create group coaching courses, mastermind groups. I've been running my mastermind for 12 years now in Brazil. And I've been doing that like since forever. When someone starts following me, I check if they have a verified Instagram profile. Most of my clients do, not all of them, but if they have a verified account, they take it serious. Does it make sense? My
Yeah.
clients, they have link in bio. They have a link, a CTA, a call to action. They have something in there. They might not have like professional pictures and stuff, but they have something going on. So they have a couple of posts, they have a couple of followers. So if someone follows me, they're not verified, they're not doing stories, they're not posting, they don't have followers, they don't have a link in bio, they don't look like a professional account, I don't touch it. But if they look like my ICP, which is my ideal client profile, if they smell like my client, I shoot them a message and I say, hey, are you here just for the free content or you want help scaling your digital business? And then I engage in a conversation. And it's so easy and conversational and so natural. I like that idea. And people overlook this. So if you have like 1,000 followers, you're sitting on a gold mine. That's what I really do believe. If you have new followers following you every day, and you just start doing this, like this welcome funnel, welcome to my profile funnel, this is so easy. And it's almost like printing cash. If you have a product, either a physical product to sell or opportunity to sell, or if you have your own courses or membership programs or group coaching or masterminds. Does it make sense?
Here's for certain, I love all that. I'd love to go into the personality behind what made you, helped you become that insightful, because your early hustles were Subway newspapers, magic cards, I think shampoo at one point, if I remember. And then you were going to be, okay, I'm going to practice law and be a lawyer. And then at
Mhm.
some point, there was some moment where you said, digital marketing is where I need to be. Do you remember when that happened and how you came to that decision?
I do. And it's a very strong situation. And sometimes I get emotional about it. Here's the thing. I I came from humble beginnings. I never had to work to put food on the table. So my mom took care of it all. My grandma, it- there was nothing missing in my life, but there was no luxury. Does it make sense? So even though in Brazil things are a bit different than in US. So school, there is public and there is non-public that you have to pay, right? And those are the best ones in Brazil. So I had the chance to study in the best school in my city. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now I live in São Paulo, but I'm originally from Rio. And my family, they didn't have the money to buy it, to get me there. But my grandma, she asked for a scholarship and she got
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
I didn't I wasn't rich. I wasn't poor either. But compared to my peers, I was poor. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So my friends they used to go to Disneyland every year. And when they turned 18, they got a new car. That we don't drive until 18 in Brazil. It's not 16. So a lot of stuff is different. When they turned 18, they got a car. I didn't get a car. So I'm not complaining or anything like that, but I'm just saying that compared to my peers, I was far below their level, right? And then I knew it that I should really study a lot and then work hard to get nice grades and then find a nice job or maybe apply to a public job that is something in Brazil that you sit an exam and if you do well, you get a nice position working for the government. So my family, they allowed me to choose whatever I wanted. I could be whatever I want. but it should
Wonderful,
be only medical
wonderful.
doctor, engineer, or lawyer. So those were my three options, actually. I wasn't free. I want to be a musician. I have several guitars there. I love playing the guitar. I love philosophy. I said, I'm going to study philosophy. They almost beat me in my family, right? So no, law, engineering, or medical, yeah, medical doctor. And then I'm not good at numbers, so I couldn't be an engineer. I was afraid of losing someone and then losing myself as a medical doctor. So let's be a lawyer. I can speak pretty decently, right? I can be very convincing. So let's do this. And during this, I didn't love the university and stuff. I sit the bar exam. I became like a lawyer. The not the bar exam, the same we have in Brazil. Like it's called OAB, OAB, whatever. I became a lawyer. But before getting this, I was an intern on an office. And one of those days, I've lost a friend. I know that on our 20s, everyone is supposed to witness like any kind of loss, right? Sometimes a relative, sometimes a friend. It's normal that 20s, at our 20s, we have someone that dies, right? But normally it's for natural causes. On that case, my friend committed suicide, and he
Mhm.
was a lawyer too. And he wasn't my best friend, never was. I've never been to his house, he's never been to mine, but we stood at same school for several years. And then he failed, he didn't pass the year, and he had to repeat and went to another school. But then we did law in different colleges, but in all the parties and stuff, we he wasn't my best friend, but he was always around for my whole life, and he took his life away. And that day I feel really really bad because I didn't know how to behave. I couldn't work that day. I was in the office, but I was like, I couldn't work. And I remember knocking at my boss office, his room and stuff. And then I said, hey, today I couldn't do my things. I couldn't work because my friend committed suicide. And my boss, he was so hard on me. He said, hey, doctor, he would just call me doc. Hey, doctor, you get into my office. If your father commits suicide, if your mother commits suicide, your brother, your friend, I couldn't care less. Life goes on.
Wow.
Now that several years passed, I, I I don't blame him. I still admire him somehow. And I try to understand that he was trying to push me in a direction like, hey, life goes on. You need to keep focused and stuff. I think he I think he wanted to help me out. And maybe that was his way. So I don't blame him. But when that happened, Randy, it was like the way I felt, it was if it is what it takes to win on this game, I don't have what it takes. I can't. So if I need to be like this or behave like that or think like if I need to be like this to win in this game, I can't. So this was very strong to me. And back at the time, I had this friend called Daniel, and then he was in, Forever Living products.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't know it was Forever Living. He was selling an opportunity, and then I went there, and then I tried to make it work for me. So I quit this whole law thing, but the MLM didn't work either. And why it didn't work? I know it's gonna sound like excuse, but I really believe on the opportunity and the life-changing opportunity. And I saw people getting rich. But when I tried to talk to my buddies, my peers in the school, I was the poorest of my friends. And I was saying that I would get rich. And they laughed at me. At college, people were only studying law. I was studying law, but at the nighttime, I was being a bartender at the pub crawl.
Right.
So people would pay to have fun, where I was getting paid to make some dime. So I was trying to influentiate those people and saying that I had an opportunity. that could change their lives. And they would laugh at me too. And I understand them. But one thing is true. No one that laughed at me back then is doing better than I am right now. So I was looking at something that could change my life, and that thing didn't, but it put me on a track that actually did. So because I couldn't sponsor any of my friends, I could sell some of the shampoos, as you said, but I couldn't sell the opportunity at all because I was looking at the opportunity, but they couldn't see. And then I started looking online, how to sell online, because I couldn't sell to people that knew me. So maybe I could sell for people that didn't. Some people are very well related and connected, but sometimes it's hard to sell to a friend and it's easier to sell to a stranger.
Well, in English, we call it the hometown prophet syndrome, which is nobody can be a prophet in their own hometown. Well, it's the same for me. You know, when I got into network marketing, I had failed at everything I had ever done. And everyone I knew also knew that I had failed at everything I ever had done. And so I learned, okay, I got to sponsor my weakness. I don't have a car. I got to sponsor someone with a car. Say, hey, we're gonna go together with the meetings. I was very shy and introverted, had social anxiety, so I realized I got to sponsor people who are gregarious and outgoing. So whatever your weakness is, you can sponsor, right? So I was
Yes.
able to using things like that to become successful and make a lot of money. But to this day, I still, and I have made millions and millions of dollars in network marketing. I have nobody in my family who's in the business, in my business. They joined other businesses. They joined
Yes.
other network marketing companies with
Not
other
yours,
people.
right?
And
Yeah.
because, of course, with me, we're like, we know you. You're a loser at everything. Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I'm a multimillionaire. And they say, well, of course it works for you because you're a multimillionaire, but it would never work for me.
But they didn't see you building from scratch, right? That that that's
Right?
that's
It's like, wasn't
result.
there somewhere along the way you could have jumped on the train? But that is what it is. So everything in marketing is jujitsu, use the force against itself. And then
Yeah.
so there's always a way out, and you found it, obviously. And then
Yes.
how did you,
And
anything
even Jesus,
particular
right?
time? What's that?
Even Jesus, there were no miracles on his hometown.
Right.
Even Jesus have to move so
Right.
that the miracles happen, right? So sometimes,
We, we have
yeah,
another expression in English. We always say the expert is the guy from out of town with a briefcase.
yes,
Can't be the
yes,
guy from town. He can't be an expert. But the guy from out of town with the briefcase, that's the consultant that you hire.
wow.
So you were smart and you found a way to make that work. So good for you.
I did, and it was because of one guy. I don't know how well you guys know him or not, but I was looking for books on this industry back then, and then I found a book called there was Magnetic Sponsoring by Mike Diller, but I didn't exactly believe I could do stuff that was on that book. But there was another book called Building on a Budget. That was so me. And then I got a book and I started learning that. And I got to learn some principles about marketing. And he was talking about like McDonald's, how they would break even or even lose money on the hamburger. And then they would upsell a slice of cheese for $2 and a Coke and French fries. And that's where's the money. And people go there because of the hamburger, even though they don't make a dime out of it, they break even or even lose money. But after they're there, then they want the cheese. They wouldn't pay $2 for the cheese, but they would definitely pay $2 for getting the cheese into the hamburger. And I love that idea. And he showed me the concept of the pre-funded. Like instead of paying to show the opportunity, I could be paid to show the opportunity. So this is something that for me was very clever. That was very, really very smart. And then I remember talking to my upline, and then they would say that this wasn't duplicable. It's something that you couldn't replicate and stuff. And then, long story short, I failed. I couldn't make it, right? But I kept on studying those digital marketing people, those gurus and stuff. And then I got to know Russell Brunson, and then I got to know Jeff Walker, and then I got to know a lot of people that were having success online, either selling MLM or other kind of stuff like products, like physical products and digital products and stuff like that. And then back in, I'm talking now 2012, okay? So 14 years ago or something. I'm getting old, man. They're the gray hair and we are the no hair, right? So back in 2012, so I met this guy. His name is Erico Rocha from Brazil, and he was licensing Jeff Walker. Do you know Jeff Walker by any chance?
Yeah, Jeff and I were in the same, we had a really internet marketing mastermind group that we were together
Okay.
in.
Cool. That's cool. I'm part of Jeff Walker's Plat Plus, his platinum group for several years now. So he invented the product launch formula. And I really love that idea because instead of me inviting people to be on a room and then present my opportunity that I was trying to hide from them, oh, I can't explain, let's go together and all this stuff. Instead of doing that, I would just shoot a video and then another video and then another video. I love that idea. So there was like those long sales letters,
Right,
and then he created the concept of a sideways sales letter. So instead
right,
of doing
right.
a huge sales letter, he would do like part one and record a video on it, and then 2 days later, part two, and then 2 days later, part three, and then 2 days later, sales video, right? And
Yeah, and
that
you
was
know what?
fun.
For people listening, I think the modern equivalent to that would be the challenges, the 5 day
Yes,
challenges, for instance, that
definitely.
Myron
Yes.
Golden is doing and Russell's
Yeah.
doing, and so many
Yeah.
people are doing. In
Yeah.
essence, they're really the same thing. So they
Yeah.
have it's a 5 day challenge on how to quit smoking, lose weight, make $1 million, whatever it is. But it's really a sideways sales letter.
Of course. And it's a funnel, right? By the day one, you have like 100% of people. And then day two, some people already left and quit and come back to their lives. And then, yeah, they
Their
fail. And
lives
then,
of quiet desperation.
of course, and some people go to the end. And then some of them buy, some of them don't. So it is a funnel, right? You can
Yeah.
call it different names. You can season with different spices. But anyway, it's a funnel. A funnel is a funnel is a funnel. So you have a lot of people in here. And then as you go deeper and deeper, some of them get warmer, some of them leave, and some of them buy. Right. So you talk about Russell, I joined his mastermind. You talk about Myron, I joined his mastermind. So here's the thing. I always invested so much in knowledge because I really do believe that. I really believe in the idea that if someone is doing better than you are, you should pay whatever they ask for so that they can help you out. And this allows you to charge people doing less well than you are. So if
Yeah.
you reach to a point in your life, you don't need to be number one. You don't need to pretend to be number one as some people do. You just need to be who you are. And you should pay for those who are doing better so that they can help you out and accelerate you. And you should charge for those doing less than you are so that you could accelerate them. Oh, Victor, you believe that everyone could be a mentor, like a circle? I do. And actually, I do believe that if everyone on earth would become a mentor for someone doing not that good as they are, the whole humanity would elevate easier, faster, cheaper, right?
Amen. Amen.
I really do believe we are, I really do believe that we are in a kind of escape room and everyone has a piece of the puzzle, right? You have a
Uh-huh.
piece of the puzzle, I have a piece of the puzzle, right? And if we do a good job and share whatever you know, we get we get to escape, right? And some people, they have some nice pieces of the puzzle and they're holding for themselves. Oh, my piece of puzzle is mine. right? It's mine, my precious. Like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, right? And I don't believe that. I believe in sharing. I believe in being contribution. I believe if you got to here, wherever you are, you owe to help people that didn't get to your point, to your level, to help them out. And if you do it in a clever way, as you're doing, Randy, for several years, you get paid big time. Right. I guess it's Jim Rohn, right? If you help like 1 million people or 1,000 people get results, you end up becoming a millionaire. So this thing is true. This is the thing people don't get. All those cliches, they are cliches because they work, right? They're true.
Yeah, the so Jim Rohn, the real relevant insight from him, I think that's probably the most quoted. He says, your income will be the average income of the five people you spend the most time with. I believe that that is such a universal truth that we can expand it out. I believe your marriage will be the quality of your marriage, will be the quality of the five couples that you guys hang with. I believe your health will be the median health of the people that you hang with. I believe your prosperity consciousness, your insight, your wisdom, all that stuff. It's what are we feeding ourselves? We have a media diet, which is very dangerous. That's probably the biggest problem in the world today is people are getting brainwashed and outraged and made hyper partisan robots by the algorithms on social media and traditional media. And then it's your media diet, and then it's a diet of who you hang with. Who are those five people? And it's
Mhm.
really, and that's the power of a mastermind. What you're doing, whether it's with Russell's group or with the other groups, right? Like I have a thing called Breakthrough You. That's my accelerator program for entrepreneurs. And I mean, I have just brilliant, mad geniuses in it. And the ideas fornicate and they produce superior ideas. And that's what the power is of a mastermind, right? And that we could trace it to biblical principles to the way it's applied today. And, for when I do these retreats, I do like 4 2-day retreats a year for my high level of my mastermind, the Breakthrough You program. And we come to let ideas fornicate and to blend in that, get in that cosmic soup of brilliant, mad genius and let it rub off on each other because people have, like, one of my guys is a mad genius in social media, right? He had 20 billion views last year on his channels. One is a mad genius in just of websites and internet and apps and marketing. And I have brilliant authors and, people, we all have I believe everybody has genius in some area. Some people don't always recognize it, but we all have it in one way or another. And that's what masterminds allow us to do, is to support each other, pull that out of each otend I'm not going to say her name. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I have a lady in my high level coaching program who we were doing the one-on-one, and I said, you've got to write the definitive book in your space, something that really anchors your personal brand, builds you out as the thought leader. And here's a couple of concepts, contrarian concepts even, that I think you should explore. That might be the theme of this book. She looked and said, oh, I love that one. I know I could do something with it. So we agreed, okay, that's the book you're going to write. So she sent me the book. She's all excited. The book is done. It's great. And I read it and I said, no, this is a Chat GPT book.
Ooh.
Okay. I don't need it. The world doesn't need a Chat GPT book, another one. They need the book from, let's call her Mary, just to protect her anonymity. I said, the world needs a Mary book. We need to know what Mary has to say. Well, I gave some ideas into ChatGPT. I said, no, this is absolutely ChatGPT. It
Uh,
goes 8 pages in a row of one sentence paragraphs. Okay. ChatGPT writes that way, but real people don't write that way. Okay. And I haven't heard any contrarian thing here. I haven't heard the part where Mary says, here's an example. I was working with an industrial manufacturing company in Ohio, and they had a problem with ABC. So what we did there is we went in and we tried DEF, and then this produced a 412% increase in profits, and then 5 pages later. And so I had a chain of dry cleaners, and they were having an issue getting their message out to the market. So we did ABC, which produced da da da, which then, blah, blah, blah. Okay, okay. So she went back and added in that stuff, but still sent it back to me yesterday. And I said, this is still a Chat GPT book, only with examples from Mary, but I need a Mary book. I need to know what's Mary's point of view. What is the theme of this book that people are going to say, wow, I never thought about it that way before? And it was tough love coaching, which in this case was just done through WhatsApp messages because we're both on the road a lot, right? So they could get misinterpreted, but they were voice notes, so hopefully they weren't. And then I woke up this morning to this beautiful message from her that said, thank you so much for that feedback on the book. I went through and I started doing what you said, and where I was taking a page with, you know, 21 sentences separate and making them into paragraphs. And I noticed some mistakes along the way. And then I was able to put in some predictions and some things that are contrarian. And now I know this is going to be the best book I've ever written. And that's the message I want to wake up to every day, right? That's the that's what we've got to do in this world is, if you want to coach, if you want to mentor, you got to think for yourself. You got to be a critical thinker. You got to be, there's so many people that call themselves thought leaders that are thought repeaters,
yes.
right? So we don't need you to do another podcast summarizing the Good to Great book from Jim Collins or summarizing Tony Robbins' Unlimited Wealth seminar or something. We need to know what you think. If we want to know what Tony says in his seminar, we'll go to Tony's seminar. If
Of
we want to
course.
know what Jim Collins wrote in his book, we'll just read Jim Collins' book. Tell me,
Yeah.
you don't need to, or the people, well, I've read the 10 preeminent books on leadership and I've condensed them and we don't need you. Chat GPT can do that in 4 seconds. Four
Yes.
seconds. I can say, here's the 10 best-selling leadership books on all time. Please review them all. Give me a summary of what's the salient point that they all agree on and what are the three things they disagree on or whatever. And it literally would take 3.5 seconds. The I want to know, the audience wants to know, the readers want to know, the podcast listeners want to know, what do you think? And I don't, I never want to hear a speaker tell me about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I read about that 20 years ago. I want to hear a speaker who says, let me tell you where Maslow screwed up in the
Yes.
hierarchy of needs. Maslow talked about we need these 8 things. Let me tell you about the ninth thing that he screwed up because he forgot. Or let me tell you why I think he's full of shit because number 3 is completely wrong. That's the speaker I want to hear. That's the podcast I want to listen to. That's the book I want to read because they're making me think. They're challenging me. Right. And I think that's our job as coaches to do that in a loving way, right? But in a way that challenges people instead of, because particularly with the AI models now, whether it's Claude, Chat, any one of them, Grok, they all pander to you. Whatever you put in, they say, Victor, this is absolutely brilliant. What a great concept. And then you have to push back. I've found that, like, I've created a couple of, co-brains that I use and workflow agents that I'm using, and I can train them if I push back against them. Great. Like I have my co-brain. It's my co-CEO, right? His name is Neo. That's what I've named him, right? So I'll put in something and Neo will say, this is the quintessential Randy Gage. Controversial, thought-provoking, brilliant. You nailed it. Yes, thank you, Neo. But please analyze this. Did I jump the shark somewhere? Did I miss? Is this the right logical progression? Is there anything I left out that you think would, and then gives me amazing feedback.
Mhm.
But you have to, when you're working with AI, you have to coach the coach to give some of the tough love. And I think as humans, when we're the coach, we have to give the tough love. We have to challenge people.
And I totally agree with that. And here's the thing. I think people spend too much time facing the sheet of paper, blank sheet of paper, and too much time on chat GPT. They should spend less time facing the blank paper, less time with chat, and more time with real people. So I really do believe that whoever gets any kind of success in life, they have a method. They may not know how to put that into words. They may not know how to productize that, but if they got to success, any kind, in level success, they 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 have a method. They have a way of getting there. They have their own principles. They have their modus operandi. Is this a word? Like the way of doing things, right? So there's a guy called Mark Joyner. You know Mark by any chance?
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Joyner. So he wrote a book called Simpleology, and there's a quote by him that is, "You can get perfection or you can get paid, not both." So you either chase for perfection, which you won't ever get to there, or you chase being paid, which is a far better idea. So I remember back then when I created my program, Vida de Mentor. So in English should be something like mentor life. So how to live a life of a mentor, being a mentor that really embrace your mentor identity. I created 4 pillars. So create, sell, deliver, and scale. And I remember that I knew the pillars, but I didn't know the topics. And I didn't touch Chat GPT. I don't even know if there was Chat GPT back then. But here's the thing. I sold people. Hey, I'm doing a first cohort. It's an experiment. It's like a something new. If you want to be a guinea pig for that, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I was very upfront. So if you will need specifics and topics and stuff and all this stuff, wait for cohort 1 and I will know what I'm doing. But now at cohort 0, I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. And it's half of the price. And you get granted access to version 1 when I get it done. But if
Right.
you want to hop in now, I have no idea what I'm doing. So create, sell, deliver, and scale, and a 5 meeting called graduation. And then let's go. And then people paid. It was a high ticket offer. And then I got people in the room for the first class of the first cohort, actually cohort 0. And they say, hey guys, are you excited? Yes, I'm excited. So I'm going to show you what I prepared for you on the lesson on creating a group coaching, a mastermind, a high ticket offer. And then I got my iPad and then turned to them. It was blank, nothing, 0. And I remember looking at those people's face like, "Wow, is this a scam?" Or something like, well, you didn't even prepare, like no slides, no nothing. And I say, hey, take notes. For having a mentorship program, you need someone eager to teach, eager to pass on knowledge. And I am. And you need someone eager to learn. Are you guys eager to learn? And I said, yes, I am. I said, so we have all we need. What are your questions? When we talk about how to create high ticket offers, what are your questions? And then people start throwing questions at me. And we stayed online for 3 hours, 4 hours. And between you and me, it was a bit messed up. It was out of order. It was confusing. It was a bit of a mess, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, hey guys, by the end of the 3 4 hours, I said, hey, so this was class number one. Next class is sales. How to create, sell, deliver, scale. So create, done. Next, sales. I'd love you guys to just fill this form for me. And there was a form, like a survey, Google survey, something, survey monkey, whatever. And then I'd ask, concerning class number one, what did I got wrong? What was missing? What was confusing? What you didn't get?
Mhm.
And next class is sales. What can't I miss? What must be there? What do you want me to talk about? So every class, I would survey on the previous class and the next one. And then on the second one, I could, I could, I could fix whatever was wrong with
Can modify,
class
yeah.
and two. And then I was doing that. And after that, I had my program. So
Yeah.
instead of spending time with chats, people should sell a small cohort of people interested on learning this thing they're good at and just mentor them. Just get their questions, just get their real case studies, and then they get the structure out of it. Now I have the book. Now I have the workbook. Now I have a structured program. And we did more than 20 cohorts of this in Brazil. Now it's meaty. Now it's something. But when I start, it was just blank sheet of paper. And
Yeah.
that's how I really do believe that everyone should start. Like just sell first, and then you have to deliver, right? And
Yeah.
then they're gonna teach you how to deliver, how to teach them. The student is gonna teach you how to teach them. And it's crazy because the mentee, they make you become a mentor. The first time someone
Yeah.
pays you
Yeah.
for being a mentor, that's when you become
Absolutely.
a mentor. I have my baby, my Isabella. She's two. She's 2 years old. I'm a dad. She made me a dad, right? I could
Great analogy.
I could read the books. I could do the parenting courses, blah blah blah. It doesn't make me a dad. When I look at her face and her eyes looking at me, now I'm a dad. So she made me a dad. And my first mentee, he made me a mentor, not doing any course. People ask if my program comes with a certificate. I said, hell no. So if you want a certificate, get the invoice and put it on the wall. The invoice of your first client, right? This is your certificate, your graduation, right? Does it make sense? Anyway, I'm speaking just too much.
All right. So, a couple quicker questions. I know we got to wrap up soon, but um, somebody comes to you, they're stuck between revenues of $17 and $80,000. They can't break through. What are three actions you would tell them? These are three things you've got to do to unleash your business.
Just clarifying questions. 17 and 80. I didn't get this.
I'm saying
What is
if they're making $20 a year or they're making $50,000 a year, but somewhere in the middle,
okay, okay,
they
okay.
just can't break through. They're just kind of running on the treadmill.
My opinion, if they are lost, it's just because they don't have a map or they don't have a GPS system. So I love the idea of starting with the end in mind. So I always knew that my goal was to make the 1 million, right? And for making seven figures, it's easy. And when I say easy, I'm sorry. I would rephrase that. It's simple. Okay. It's simple. Might not be easy depending on the vehicle you use, but for making seven figures, there are a couple of ways. So you could sell something for $1 million for one person. I have friends that sold their companies for seven figure plus. So it happens. It's not usual, but it happens. Or you can have 10 people at your 100K mastermind, right? So I did that in Brazil, in Brazilian reais, not dollars, but I did that several times and it works, but it's not exactly easy for regular people, right? So if you go to the opposite side of the spectrum, we could make like a 1 million transactions of $1. But this is still not doable, right? If you're a payment processor, or if you say, I don't know, it's doable for someone, not for you and me, right? And then if you charge more and you charge $10, you would only have to have 100,000 clients, which is still a lot, right? I don't know. You've been on that space for several years. Do you have 100,000 clients? Because I don't. I don't. I know I have thousands of clients, but I'm not at the hundreds of thousands of clients. So I need to charge more. So let's charge 100. If I charge $100, like an ebook or a course, I only need 10,000 clients. I have far more than that. I've done millions with this, but this is not the best way, in my opinion. The best two ways of reaching 1 mil is having 1,000 transactions at 1,000. So 1,000 people getting your home study course, your video course, low interaction or no interaction, right? So your flagship program, 1K for 1,000 people, you make 1 million, right? And you should have a high ticket offer. I don't think 10K is that high, but let's put like this. Everything 5, 10K plus, I could say is high ticket. And um I'm tapping into the international side of stuff. In Brazil, in Portuguese, actually, I have clients in 20 countries so far, but I'm getting to understand currency arbitrage and the difference between countries and language. But I could say, could I say that 10K is high ticket already?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Even in the United States, which is, the probably the wealthiest country in the world, 10K would still be a high ticket offer. There's
okay, cool.
certainly much higher, but it would qualify as a high ticket offer.
So if you create value, if you pack value into an offer, should be like a group coaching or mastermind group or even one-on-one if you're still doubtful of yourself and your ability of facilitating groups. If you charge 10K, you only need 100 people to reach 1 mil, right? So what I teach my people is aim for 100 people at 10K and have a downsell of 1,000. Because if you put a goal of 1,000 people buying your 1,000 thing and a goal of 100 people buying your 10K thing, you can still fail on both and get only 50% on each and still get to 1 mil. Cool?
Yeah.
So this is my plan, like my
Your architecture.
better plan for everyone who wanna make a mil. There's no better way, no easier way. This is the way. So I would start with high ticket, and if they say no, I would downsell them. Some people start with the low ticket, and when they buy, they upsell them. They call it value ladder. I like the idea of the upside down value ladder, right?
Yeah.
So always high ticket first. If they say no, I downsell them. So that's what I would say.
What would your advice be? So you're big in funnels, funnels, funnels. That's your mainstay, it appears to me, looking from the outside.
One of my things.
Um, what's the lesson people need to know in today's crazy white noise, high competition world of advertising on social media to feed the funnel? That's where I think most people go wrong. They have a solid funnel. They follow Russell's framework. They have the big domino, and then they have the three things after that. They have the order form. They have an uptick on the order form. They have an upsell for after the uptick. They have the one-time offer. They build all that out. And they say, but I can't get anyone to go to the funnel. I'm spending $500 a day on Facebook ads, and I'm only getting $300 in sales, and eventually I'm going to go broke. Any tips for what you think people should be doing today to bring more traffic to their funnels in a better way, in a more productive or profitable way?
So here's the thing. People say that sales cures all. I don't believe that, but it helps a lot. So you said, oh, you are everything a funnel, you are a funnel guy and stuff. I'm a people guy. So even though I have my funnels and they work, this is the $10 million thing. They say two comma club, and there's two comma club X, which is 10 plus million dollars. I believe on feeding the funnel, and I believe in systems and in process. I believe in automation, right? But I believe that every lead is a person. So even though I have my automations and I have my funnels, I remember that whenever someone opts into my funnel or starts following me at Instagram, and by the way, you should at Victor Damasio, just start following me and see this happening right now in real time. I talk to them. And this is a part where people they mess up. So I really do believe that your first mentee or your next mentee, your first or next coach client, your first or next mastermind people person, they are on your list. They 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 are already on your followers. They already maybe they're on your WhatsApp list. Maybe you already met them in person. Maybe you guys even shook hands already. They've been to your events, they saw your speeches, they read your books. You just didn't make the offer. And people get a bit crazy. Oh, I cannot be pitching every time. Pitch, pitch, pitch. Yes, you can. But here's the thing, you can pitch every day for different people. So today I'm pitching everyone that followed me yesterday. And the day after, I'm going to pitch those who follow me today. So every day I'm pitching, but I'm pitching for a different person, right? So it's always brand new. It's always fresh for those who are coming now. And here's the thing, people get tired of their own funnels before the market gets tired of their
Always, always. And
people
this
get
is true for all ads, all copy, all marketing of any kind. You will get tired of it before the
yes,
market does because you
yes,
see it 10 hours a day.
of course. So you get tired of it and then you stop believing this. But I don't know you guys who are listening to this. I know you're not doing enough. So Brandon Burchard, I joined his mastermind. Really love him. Do you know Brandon Burchard?
Yeah, yeah,
So he says that whenever someone says, "Hey Brandon, I tried everything and it doesn't work," he said, "Well, did you try everything?" Yes, everything. So give me the list. Give me the list. And then normally people try two or three things. They don't
right.
know what is
Of
trying
course.
everything.
Yeah.
So I really built my success overnight, not overnight, during the nighttime. I'm sorry, I messed up with the translation language, right? I I lost several nights working and working and tweaking the funnel and creating something different. But as soon as you find something that converts, it could be a one-on-one conversation. It could be a webinar that you could evergreen. It could be a launch. It could be a strategic session where you don't show the price. It could be an application funnel where you show the price up front. Whenever you find something that works, just put effort on it. People, they like to buy paid traffic, buy paid ads. There's no point on buying paid traffic and paid ads onto something that doesn't convert, right? So if you have like a Lambo or a Ferrari, and if you pour some gas into it, and then you press the engine and it can go really fast, right? But if you pour gas into a bicycle, it won't get you further, right? So paid ads, paid traffic is just like pouring gas, like putting some gas. But you need to put gas into some kind of engine. People don't have the engine and they believe that buying gas would work. It won't. So if you want something, everyone there's a fetish, right, on getting like an automated sales machine, right? But they want an automatic sales machine, but they don't want to put the effort of or making the machine, right? So how can I automatize something if I didn't try it manually first?
Yeah.
So I really do believe in creating real conversations. And that's what I'm building in English. So when people start following me, I start real conversation. And if that works, and I find a pattern that works, and then I send them to a presentation, either a webinar or a challenge or a funnel or a VSL or whatever, a strategic call, whatever. When I find a sales process that works, then I can automate. But I only can automate something that was first created manually. People spend time and money trying to build something without testing out. So everything that is automated should have worked first one on one, right? So find that engine or die trying. Because if you find this, you get it all. I have my programs, and run those in Brazil for 10 plus years. So I have my 20K thing, I have my 10K thing, and I have my low ticket thing. It works. I don't need to create new stuff. I don't need to recreate something. No, you only need one offer to solve one problem of one person, one niche. And you just need one lead generation funnel and one sales process. If you have it, one of each, you have what it takes to reach to 1 mil, to seven figures. And then you can vary. You can add more lead sources or more sales process or more offers to different niche, but you only need to solve one problem of one niche with one offer using one lead generation way with one sales process. If you stick to this until you get to your mill or at least 100K, you're good.
I don't know if you do this already because I didn't seen it in your thing, but what you just went through, you need to create a name for that as a framework, the
Okay.
5 point framework,
Okay.
which was, you just have one offer which goes to one niche and one. What you just said, you can go back and watch the replay if you're like me and you forgot what you said.
It was
But
so
you need
natural to
to, because that's
maybe.
part of your IP, right? That's part of the unique proposition that you can offer people is Victor's 5 point framework, how
I love it.
anyone can get to $1 million.
I
Okay,
love it.
so that's my
Thank you. Thank you.
advice on that.
And just for being 100% frank on that, because I mentioned several names on this episode, right? Several mentors I have. I have no idea if this is mine or if I got from any of my mentors. When I know that's something I took from someone, I always name my mentor, right? On this thing, I don't know precisely if someone taught me exactly this, but it doesn't feel like I created as Victor framework or something. It's just something that's very obvious for me, but maybe either a mentor of mine taught me that or several mentors taught me pieces of that. I just can't recall what made me think like this, but I just think it's easy. Maybe Russell teaches
Well,
some.
here's what I'd say to that. Good point, and it's
Makes sense.
wonderful
Makes
that you
sense.
acknowledge mentors like that. I believe that's really in integrity the way we all want to do it. So do spend a little time thinking on that. Is that something original? And if not, I do think you can also make it your own. In other words, you can look at it and say, okay, if I just dedicated 45 minutes, I'm turning off all devices. I'm going to get my paper pad, my pen, and I'm just going to think about this. What would this framework look like? What would a name be? What would I change? So when I was chatting with Randy, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but maybe number three better would be if I said this or whatever, because that's how people learn stuff well, and that's how people sell stuff well. We understand frameworks. Otherwise, it's like, wow, I just heard this 45-minute webinar and I'm so confused. Or, wow, I just watched this webinar and they showed me this 5 step framework for achieving what it is I want to do. And so that I think would be, and I feel there was real value in what you said because it's what you're doing with that is you're reducing the overwhelm. Because then people say, so do I do direct mail? Do I take billboards? How do I do by email advertising? Am I doing pay per click? Am I doing, where you just say, pick one source of traffic, pick one offer. You test and this offer is working and and that will dial down the anxiety, which is what causes the procrastination of why people don't apply things. And then they understand it and they don't have the anxiety, they're much more likely to do it. So that's just off the cuff comes to mind as you say that, because I thought it's really valuable what you said. Um, we got to do another show at some point in a few months or something where we just deep dive into digital marketing strategies. This show, I wanted the world to meet the man behind the marketing and kind of see your origin story and how you come to think what you think and give them an idea of how you think. And so I really appreciate you being on, and I hope people got some insights into you and what you do. And like I say, let's do another show and just we might do 2 hours just on digital marketing strategy, what's working, particularly I'm doing a lot with AI. I would imagine you're experimenting with it too. We should look at that in a deep dive. But in the
Okay.
meantime, in between time, how can you best help people? Where can they find you? Tell them that stuff, please.
Okay. So I'm using one lead generation way on my Instagram. So everything I do is in Brazil is in Portuguese. But now I created a new profile in English and it's on Instagram. Oh, I don't like Instagram. Well, you should. So join Instagram and find me there. It's Victor Damasio, Victor Damasio, Victor Damasio.
Yeah,
And
this will be in the show notes as well, people.
might be down here. Yeah. And if you do, I'm just starting out, so there's not a lot of content. I'm just start posting, so don't count on it. I'm still getting my gears running. But if you start following me and shoot me a message, and on that message you just write down RG for Randy Gage, I would know you came from this show. And this is some last tip I would share. So whenever people spend time with you virtually, like they have like screen time with you, and if you reach to this point of the podcast, you spend more than 1 hour with us. Get a way of people getting in front of you because after they spend 1 hour with you, even though you didn't spend that 1 hour with them, they did. So it's just a good idea to connect with those people. So it doesn't matter if one day my profile is going to be big or not, or there's going to be automations or AI there. I don't know. What I'm saying is that whenever you reach out to this and shoot me a message with RG, I will know you came from here and I will reply to you personally, as I did with Randy himself. Right. So yeah, that's the way. So shoot me RG so I know you came from here and write me a paragraph with your story, your struggle, whatever you want to create, or you want to help with. Just share what you like the most about this, or you want to help create like maybe, I don't know, if you need my expertise on something, or if you want to be a mentor, or just share your thoughts, write me on Instagram at Victor Damasio. That's it. That's my CTA.
All right, Victor, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with everyone. Great to chat with you and reconnect. Everyone watching, remember, like, subscribe, share. We put the cameras on, so I'll throw it up on the YouTube channel as well. So you guys on YouTube get down in the comments, say hey. Until next time, go out there, be amazing. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace. Thank you, Randy. I really appreciated you having me here. So thank you.